Hello everyone. Transformer as the main primary equipment in the substation mainly plays a role in changing voltage levels. So, when the main transformer needs to be shut down for maintenance due to abnormal operation or other reasons, how should the specific switching operation be carried out? In this lesson, we will introduce the precautions and key points of transformer operation. Precautions for transformer operation. First, same wiring group. Equal transformation ratio with an allowable error of 5%. Equal short circuit voltage with an allowable error of 5%. Transformers with different ratios and varying short circuit voltages can be operated in parallel after calculation and testing under the condition that no overload occurs on any of them. Second, in general, when the transformer is put into operation, the power side switch should be closed first, and then the load side switch. When the switch is shut down, the operation sequence is reversed. For transformers with multiple power sources, differential protection, sensitivity, and backup protection should be considered simultaneously. Third, when charging transformers, the principle of charging from the high voltage side should generally be followed. If it is necessary to charge from the medium voltage side, it should be verified before proceeding. Before charging, adjust the transformer voltage tap to the specified position according to the scheduling requirements, so that the voltage value on each side of the no-load transformer does not exceed 5% of the corresponding tap voltage. When new or overhauled transformers are put into operation, if conditions permit, they should undergo a zero rise voltage test and then undergo an impulse closing test at full voltage. New transformers generally have an impulse closing test 5 times, while the overhauled transformers generally have an impulse closing test 3 times. Before grid connection, phase charging should be checked, and transformers should have complete relay protection. When charging transformers, it is recommended to choose a fully protected, reliable, and backup protected power supply side for charging. Fourth, for the operation of the neutral point of a transformer in a directly grounded system, consideration should be given to requirements such as avoiding overvoltage relay protection, reliable operation, and system stability. The grounding method and operating regulations for the neutral point of the main transformer should meet the requirements of relay production, setting, and operation under various operating modes. Before charging or shutting down the transformer, the neutral grounding switch must be pushed up, and the switch must be placed on the coil on the disconnected side, with the neutral point remaining grounded. When switching the neutral grounding switch of transformers operating in parallel, they should be pushed first and then pulled. Corresponding switching should be made for zero sequence overcurrent and zero sequence overvoltage protection, and the parallel operating transformers in the arc suppression coil grounding system should be switched. During the switching operation, it is not allowed to connect the arc suppression coil to the neutral point of 2 transformers simultaneously. It should be pulled first and then pushed. When the transformer switch needs to be switched to the bypass switch belt, the relevant differential protection should be removed, After the operation is completed, it should be checked that the protection switch is correct before the main transformer differential protection can be put into operation. Next, let's talk about the key points of transformer operation, which can be summarized into 4 points. First, the principle of power outage and transmission. Second, the principle of neutral point. Third, the principle of load distribution. Fourth, the principle of disabling associated protection. First of all, in the principle of power outage and transmission, the order of power outage is low voltage, followed by medium voltage and high voltage. The order of power transmission is just the opposite, which is high voltage followed by medium voltage and low voltage. The above principles mainly consider 2 points. In the case of multiple power supplies, the power outage in the above order can prevent the transformer from recharging. If there is a fault on the power supply side first, it may cause the protection to malfunction or refuse to move, prolong the fault removal time, and may also expand the range of power outage. Power is transmitted step by step from power supply side. In case of failure, it is convenient to check and judge and deal with the neutral point principle according to the power transmission range. When 1 or 2 transformers are running side by side, when switching the neutral point grounding switch, the neutral point and the grounding switch of the transformer that is not grounded should be closed first, and then the grounding switch of the neutral point of another transformer should be opened, and the zero sequence protection should be switched to the transformer grounded at the neutral point. The overcurrent protection and gap protection of the neutral point of the transformer should be activated with a change of the neutral point grounding method. Before the neutral point grounding switch is closed, the neutral point zero sequence overcurrent protection on the corresponding side should be put in, and the neutral point gap protection on the corresponding side should be withdrawn after the neutral grounding knife switch is closed. 220 kilovolt transformer. The sequence of neutral point zero sequence protection and gap protection on/off. If the current transformer used for gap protection is connected between the discharge gap of the neutral point of the transformer and the grounding point, and when the neutral point of the transformer is changed from gap grounding to direct grounding, the zero sequence protection should be activated before the grounding switch is closed, and the gap protection should be deactivated after the grounding switch is closed. When the neutral point of the transformer is changed from direct grounding to gap grounding, gap protection should be activated before the grounding switch is opened, and zero sequence protection should be deactivated after the grounding switch is opened. If the current of gap protection is taken from the neutral point of the transformer and the bushing current transformer, before closing the neutral grounding switch, first activate the zero sequence protection and then exit the gap protection. When the neutral grounding switch is opened, activate the gap protection and stop the zero sequence protection. The principle of neutral point mainly considers 2 purposes. One of the purposes is to prevent operating over voltage, to prevent single-phase grounding from generating over voltage, and to avoid operating over voltage when the switch is not operating at the same time. To protect the transformer winding from being damaged by over voltage, before the transformer is powered off, it is necessary to close the grounding knife switch at its neutral point and its protection should be adjusted accordingly. The second purpose is to ensure zero sequence protection and correct and reliable operation throughout the entire network. In order to ensure that after a transformer is shut down, the station is still a neutral, direct grounding system. It is necessary to close the neutral point grounding switch of the operating main transformer, and its protection should be adjusted accordingly. Finally, there are the principles of load distribution and disabling associated protection. The principle of load distribution mainly refers to the need to pay special attention to the overload problem of transformers when switching them. The principle of disabling associated protection mainly refers to the backup protection of the main transformers. Tripping the switches on each side or the bus bar outlet pressure plate, and the failure of the high voltage side of the main transformer starting pressure plate. Finally, let's think about the following questions. What are the precautions for transformer operation? What are the 4 points that transformer operation points can be summarized into? That's all for today's lesson. Thank you.